So Fritz is going to get a little harsh in this vlog, in this podcast, but it is for your own good. Like a veteran Wolf Brothers Space Marine sergeant, I am looking out for you. I am pushing you forward, and if necessary, I'm giving you that swift kick to get you down the line and do what we have to do, paint your miniatures. Now, this is going to seem really weird because we're listening to a podcast about painting miniatures when it's supposed to be visual. And the reason why I'm doing that is the duality of there are amazing YouTube videos on how to paint your army. Whatever gaming system. I mean, we're looking at Warhammer 40,000 now, but I've been checking out Battletech stuff because I said I wasn't going to do it, but I'm starting another Lance. And certainly historicals, X-Wing miniatures, repaints, the painted. Fantastic stuff. I believe in the here and now of today, you can go from having no paint experience to painting amazing tabletop miniatures in 4 to 5 months. If, of course, you're willing to apply yourself. But the resources that are out there on YouTube alone, before we even bring in the internet and blogs and stuff and streaming Twitch and things like that, insane, amazing. But what we're not seeing is the attack plan to do it. It's literally like, okay, you're developing the skills, and now I throw it on a pile of plastic, and I'll be like, okay, see you next week with your Golden Demon Army. That's what I want to cover, because that's where my experience over the years in wargaming has taught me that motivation and being able to complete the motivation. Now, interestingly enough, when I was at the Battle for Salvation Gaming Club, I started out with one army, and I was branching out into other armies. And the guys that I played with were amazing painters, much better than I am. And certainly my skill has grown over the years, but they are still light years ahead of me. Jawballs, Brother Captain James, War Master Matt, amazing stuff. And we would go to Games Day, when Games Workshop actually supported the community, and we would go to grand tournaments down in Baltimore when GW actually supported the community in that capacity. And they would put together, in the course of 3 or 4 months from scratch, a huge Golden Demon, amazingly painted army. I mean, insane. And that was a lot to hold myself up to. And I realized that I couldn't always compete with that. I couldn't really do that. Not that you should ever compare yourself to other hobbyists, but it's natural in a visual environment like 40K. So this is how I now approach painting miniatures regardless of the system. It's important to get your stuff painted. We are trying to create not only a simulation, but a virtual reality. I'm not getting all metaphysical here, but there is a little bit of metaphysics in there. We are creating a different place and time, a different narrative. You and I have expressed and manifested our will. We have taken time out of real life, annoying stuff like work and responsibilities and school. We've set that quality of time, finite time, quality time to play a game together, whether it's an hour, 3 hours, 4 hours. Our will has willed it so. And then we're going to honor our will by putting down like a cheap mat and some garbage terrain and 2 unpainted armies, and you're playing a Tau army with just bases and legs and like, what? No. Fully painted armies, amazing terrain, an exciting mission, background music, something that when you step back for the moment, when you step back for a moment playing the game, you look at it and you're like, there's a battle going on. Often if I'm playing longer games, we'll get the game started, we'll get into it, we'll get the pulse going, and then we'll take a break for a second to maybe get something to eat or just kind of step back, bathroom break, get some drinks or something. And I find myself, when I step away from the gaming table, when I'm walking back after the break, and the break's only a couple of minutes, right? But just walking back, I'm like, wow, look at this. I can feel it stirring in my blood. I can feel on the table like, battle is joined. Let's get in this. Let's do this. Let's make this happen, whatever it's going to be, whatever system it's going to be. That is what having 2 painted armies, terrain, the narrative, friends, music pulls together. You got to do your part by painting. So what I learned was to do what I call tabletop quality miniatures and get your army, and I don't mean this in like a lazy way, good enough to be on the table. And then over the weeks, over the months, over the years later, you slowly upgrade your army 3 colors. This is what I define tabletop. Let's look at a Space Marine, Dark Angel Space Marine, right? Dark Angel Space Marine. Paint the Space Marine Dark Angels green. Give it a slight wash. Build up some highlights. Do the bolt color. Do the outer casing of the bolter red. Pick out, the purity seals and whatever stuff on there, and put it on a nice base with some rubble and some rock, and paint it and dry brush it. Ready to go. That's going to look great on the table. You're going to play it. It's going to be a fully painted army. Play a lot of games. Then as you have time, so you're fielding a painted army, then as you have time, I go back and maybe I do some glaze effects on the helmet for the eyes. Maybe I do some more highlighting. Maybe I bring the base quality up, pop a base off, pop it on a resin base, or I build the base up more with some water effects or damage type effects. Maybe I go full hobby and now I start to drill out the barrels of the guns. I can do that for a while. Then when I come back at another time, maybe I start doing some freehand on the purity seals, even if it's just little squiggles to represent text on there. Maybe I start picking out more details and layers, getting more technical. You can upgrade your miniatures as you go. I find doing this means you can field a fully painted army that looks great, that you can feel proud of, that you are going to start building up honor on the table, but not have to deal with, I have to go from 0 to 100, from this to Golden Demon immediately. This is especially challenging if you are facing a massive, massive army. Now, in Battletech, when I start a new Battletech Lance, which I'm working on right now, I'm going to go for like a desert camo type theme. Playing that, I have 4 or 5 mechs. Well, actually, right now I've got 6 mechs, 2 tanks, 2 stands of infantry. That can hold me over for a while. I can do that in a weekend. Painting Battletech is a little bit easier because of the scope of what you're playing. My chain of command, World War II, I'm doing early war to mid-war Germans. I'm adding to my army on that. That takes a little bit more time because while the scale is smaller and the tanks are smaller, you have more numerous units on the table because it's 1-to-1 scale. So this idea that you're painting smaller, yes, but it takes a little longer. 40K can take a while depending on how fast you're jumping into your army. You're throwing down, 6, 7, 8, 10 kits, multiple troop choices, some vehicles and stuff. That's a lot. You got to build it. You got to get it ready. You got to paint it. So in that case, what I recommend, and some of my fondest memories, there was one of the most interesting memories that I had that was 40K related to non-40K related. We were getting ready to go down to Nova. I don't know. We were getting ready to go down for something. This was a number of years ago. And it was a great day out. I had a bunch of the guys over from the club. We're all sitting out on my back deck. And my deck is really high up. It needs a little bit of work. It could support 5, 6 people, no problem. I got like 10 or 15 people out there. We're sitting out there all painting, under an umbrella and just painting our armies, working on our armies. And I'm like, should I be more concerned if my deck falls? What's going to happen to my friends? Or more importantly, what's going to happen to our armies? The value of our armies far exceeds like anything else. Another interesting note on that, we were driving down to Games Day one day, and we were bringing all of our armies and everything. And I forget whoever's car we were in, no disrespect, but I realized that our combined armies were more valuable than the person's car we were driving down in. So when we parked at, like Waffle House or whatever, it was literally like, no, dude, you're staying in the car. We'll bring out your waffles and your curly fries and everything. Like, if the car gets stolen or something, or gets hit and the armies get crushed, like, it's over. So just wait here and we'll bring you out stuff. But the memories of 40K, the reason why I say this, what I also realized was painting alone, it's funner. It's more dynamic. It's more hobby if you paint with others. If you want to make massive progress quickly on your army, host a paint night. If you're part of a club, if you're part of a gaming group, you can still have gaming going on, but say like, hey, this Friday, this Saturday, for 4 hours, we're going to paint and build. We're going to get some pizza. We're going to put on, we'll drag in a TV. We'll put on some TV. We'll put on some music. We'll get pumped. And there's just, there's something sitting with other players, other people enthusiastic about the hobby, and discussing with them, talking about battle reports and past glories and 40K lore, that you paint better, you paint faster, you paint motivated. I also like it because in certain areas, you start to slow down. I remember building some land speeders on the old land speeder kit, which they were awful. And I'm just like, man, I'm building 6 of them, right? 2, 2, and 2 at the time, or 3 and 3 on the squadron, depending on how I was going to run them at the time. And just the motivation was gone. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. So I bring them to paint night, and BC was like, "I'll help you bang them out." Yeah, I'll do them. And he's just gluing them, rubber banding them up, and they're built. And he did me a real solid in helping me with that. So I've been to other paint nights where I can see if someone has to go through a lot of stuff, or they're dealing with, kind of a bottleneck in their army. It's like, all right, dude, I'll sit down. I'll glue some tacks for you. I'll mix up some basing stuff, get your dudes based. Just even spending 10 or 20 minutes helping someone out helps them tremendously. And of course, you can also ask questions. You can also learn stuff. I've been working on things and had War Master come over and be like, all right, do this, the effects for the lens flare and everything. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Or I see their army and I'm like, hey, how'd you do that? Or just little things, little pieces right there. Fantastic having a hobby night. Most of us work alone on our workbenches. A lot of these podcasts and vlogs I make, I'm working on stuff. I'm getting that hobby on. Right now I'm actually building some Battletech terrain, working on some city fight stuff. But having that social connection to build and paint. That is my paint motivation. Get it painted, get it done. Get it tabletop, fantastic resources on YouTube, but the secret weapon of not only getting to tabletop and beyond, but hooking up, creating that social aspect. If it is one last kind of good foundation, for a long time I played what I would call basement battle report 40K. It was myself, it was Naps, it was Dom, it was Miguel. And every Saturday or Sunday, we would go into Naps' basement and literally play 40K. Most of the time, it was 2 tables, 2 players on each table. Sometimes we'd do a big game if it was only 3 of us could make it, and we'd do that. But every now and then, it would just be like, everyone buy a unit, right? So this week, we kind of all agreed, everyone's going to buy a unit, whatever it's going to be. I remember I bought, I was playing Orcs for a little while, bought an Orc Dreadnought, and buy the unit, build it ahead of time, and we're just going to paint it. And we're not going to leave until that one unit is painted. That one unit is there. And even that little paint motivation, just in our little group of 3 to 4 players, helped tremendously. So look to tap in to that aspect of the hobby, and you will get it painted. You will get it done.